Imagine for a moment that everything you desire has already happened. The dreams you chase, the goals you obsess over, they are not distant wishes, but present realities. How would you walk into a room? How would you speak? Would doubt still sit in your chest, or would you carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who belongs? Reality is not something that exists independently of you. It is shaped, molded, and directed by the way you perceive it. Every person moves through life carrying a lens, a filter through which they interpret events, people, and circumstances. Two individuals can stand in the same moment, see the same thing, yet walk away with entirely different understandings of what happened. This is because perception is not passive, it is active. It is a force that constructs reality rather than merely receiving it. Think of a person who walks into a room with confidence, believing they belong, certain of their value. They carry themselves with ease, their shoulders relaxed, their voice steady. People notice this. They respond to it. The person is treated with respect, listened to, and engaged with. Now, imagine another person entering the same space, doubting themselves, questioning their worth. Their posture is hesitant, their voice uncertain, they are overlooked, spoken over, dismissed. What changed? The room remained the same, the people were the same, yet the way reality unfolded was completely different for each individual. The key difference was not the external world, but the perception they brought into it. The mind does not just observe reality, it creates it. When you believe in limitations, you find them everywhere. When you expect rejection, you unconsciously act in ways that invite it. When you assume the worst, your energy shifts, your actions reflect your fears, and the world responds accordingly. But when you believe in possibility, you start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You move differently, think differently, and in doing so, shape the reality that unfolds before you. This is why some people seem to have life effortlessly work in their favor, while others struggle at every turn. It is not that fortune randomly smiles on a select few. It is that those who assume success, who carry themselves with certainty, are aligning their internal world with their external reality. The world treats them as they expect to be treated. This is not magic, nor is it mere coincidence. It is the natural consequence of the way energy, attitude, and perception shape human interaction. Doubt and hesitation do not just exist in your mind. They ripple outward. They seep into your actions, your words, the way you carry yourself, and others pick up on this. People respond not to who you are, but to who you present yourself as. If you perceive yourself as unworthy, you will carry that perception into every interaction. Your voice may waver, your posture may shrink, your presence may become less impactful, and as a result, the world will reflect that back to you. But the opposite is also true. When you perceive yourself as capable, as valuable, as someone deserving of success, that perception begins to shape your reality. You take more confident actions. You attract different responses. You become someone people listen to, respect, and believe in, not because they decided to, but because you did. The world, like a mirror, reflects what you assume to be true about yourself. This is why two people, given the same circumstances, can have completely different outcomes. One may see an obstacle and interpret it as a dead end. Another may see the same obstacle and interpret it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to find a new way forward. Their perception dictates their response, and their response shapes what happens next. The difference is not in what is happening, but in how it is perceived. If you spend your life believing you are at the mercy of the world, tossed around by fate, powerless to shape your own path, that belief will manifest in your reality. You will hesitate when you should act. You will shrink when you should expand. You will remain in situations you should have long outgrown simply because your perception tells you that you have no choice. But if you choose to see yourself as the creator of your own experience, everything changes. You stop waiting for the world to give you permission. You stop seeing rejection as proof of failure and start seeing it as redirection. You stop interpreting obstacles as the universe saying no and start recognizing them as opportunities to prove how much you truly want what you seek. The mind is powerful beyond measure. What you focus on expands. What you expect tends to materialize. If you believe that the world is against you, that belief will shape the way you engage with life. You will hesitate, doubt, and attract experiences that confirm your assumption. But if you believe that life is working in your favor, that you are capable, that you are already aligned with success, your perception will shift. And as it does, the world will begin to reflect it. Every great transformation begins internally. It starts with a shift in the way you see yourself, the way you interpret the world, the way you move through existence. Before anything external changes, the internal world must first be altered. Those who understand this do not wait for success to validate them. They validate themselves first. They step into each moment with certainty, not because they have external proof, but because they have chosen to perceive themselves as already worthy, and as they do, reality reshapes itself to match their perception. Confidence is not the result of achievement. It is the foundation upon which all achievement is built. Before success materializes in the external world, it first takes root within the mind. The way a person carries themselves, the certainty in their voice, the steadiness of their actions, all of these are signals to the world that they are ready to receive what they seek. Confidence is the bridge between desire and realization. The unshakable belief that something is already within reach, even when there is no immediate evidence to support it. Many people wait. They wait for proof that they are capable before they allow themselves to believe it. They wait for the right opportunity, the right validation, the right circumstances before they step forward. But those who achieve great things do not wait for permission. They move with certainty, even in uncertainty. They step forward before the path is fully visible, trusting that their belief will solidify the ground beneath them. The world does not open doors for those who hesitate. It responds to those who walk with the conviction that they belong. A person who lacks confidence may have talent, skill, and intelligence, yet find themselves overlooked time and time again. Meanwhile, another person with less ability but more belief in themselves will rise, not because they are more deserving, but because they act as if they are. The difference between them is not in their potential, but in their perception of what they are capable of. Confidence is not arrogance. It is not about pretending to be something one is not. It is about stepping fully into one's own potential without hesitation. It is the quiet assurance that even if failure comes, it will not define the journey. It is the understanding that mistakes are not a reflection of worth, but a necessary part of growth. Those who wait for perfection before they begin will remain stuck, while those who move forward, imperfect but certain, will eventually refine their path. There is a reason why some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly, while others struggle to be noticed. The way one presents themselves dictates how they are received. A person who speaks with conviction commands attention. A person who carries themselves with assurance is given responsibility. A person who moves with certainty is trusted, respected, and given chances others only dream of. None of this happens by accident. It happens because confidence signals readiness. and the world responds accordingly. Fear holds many people back. It whispers that they are not prepared, that they are not good enough, that they will fail. But fear is nothing more than the absence of confidence. It is the mind's resistance to stepping beyond what is familiar. The truth is, nobody is ever fully prepared for the journey ahead. No one starts with all the answers. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant is that the successful do not wait to feel ready. They act as if they already are. Confidence is not something given. It is something cultivated. It is built through repeated action, through stepping forward even when doubt lingers. It grows stronger with each challenge faced, each risk taken, each step outside of the comfort zone. Those who wait for confidence to arrive before they take action will never find it, because confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is the result of it. People often assume that once they achieve something, they will finally feel confident. But this belief is backward. Achievement does not create confidence. Confidence creates achievement. It is the belief in one's ability that leads to bold decisions, to taking risks, to pushing beyond limitations. Without it, even the most skilled person will hesitate, and hesitation is the fastest way to miss opportunities. Imagine two people with the same goal. One is hesitant, constantly questioning whether they are good enough, whether they should even try. They analyze, overthink, and ultimately take little action. The other moves forward with certainty, even if they do not have all the answers. They step into rooms with presence, take on challenges without overthinking, and trust in their ability to figure things out along the way. Who is more likely to succeed? The answer is clear. It is not always the person with the most knowledge or the most experience who wins. It is the one who believes in themselves enough to act. Doubt is the enemy of progress. It keeps people stuck in their own minds, replaying fears, imagining failures that have not even happened. Confidence, on the other hand, propels people forward. It does not guarantee immediate success, but it guarantees movement. And movement is what leads to results. Even when setbacks occur, a confident person does not see them as signs to stop, but as stepping stones to something greater. The mind adapts to what it is repeatedly exposed to. The more a person acts with confidence, the more natural it becomes. It is not something that is gifted to a select few. It is something anyone can develop. It begins with a decision to stop waiting and start moving. It begins with carrying oneself as if success is inevitable, as if obstacles are temporary, as if every setback is simply part of the process. When a person understands this, everything changes. They no longer wait for external validation. They no longer hesitate when opportunities arise. They no longer let fear dictate their choices. They step into every situation with the knowledge that confidence is not a result of achievement. It is the force that precedes it. And once they move with that understanding, the world begins to reflect it. The way a person perceives themselves dictates everything they do. Every action, every decision, every habit stems from the identity they hold in their mind. The strongest force in human behavior is the need to remain consistent with who one believes they are. If a person sees themselves as disciplined, they will act accordingly. If they believe they are weak, their actions will reflect that belief. The external world is nothing more than a reflection of the internal self-concept. Change the identity and the actions will follow. A person who identifies as a leader does not need to be told to take responsibility. They will naturally step up when others hesitate. They will carry themselves with certainty, speak with conviction, and move with purpose. It is not because they are better than others. It is because they see themselves as someone who leads. The identity they have embraced compels them to act in alignment with it. The same principle applies to every aspect of life. A person who believes they are healthy will naturally make choices that reinforce that identity. They will choose to move their body, to nourish it properly, to prioritize well-being. It is not a struggle, because it is not an external goal. It is simply who they are. On the other hand, someone who sees themselves as undisciplined will struggle to change their habits. Even if they attempt to make better choices, their actions will always return to match their identity. This is why many people find change so difficult. They attempt to shift their actions without shifting their identity. They force themselves into new behaviors without addressing the deep-rooted beliefs that drive those behaviors. This is like trying to grow a new tree without changing the soil. It might survive for a while, but eventually the old environment will take over. Real transformation happens when a person stops trying to force themselves into temporary changes and instead rewires the way they see themselves. A person does not need to fight against their old habits. They need to change the narrative they hold about themselves. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," they need to affirm, "I am disciplined." Instead of saying, "I am working on becoming confident," they must declare, "I am confident." The mind clings to identity with unshakable force. When a new identity is fully accepted, the actions that align with it become effortless. Many people remain trapped because they have unknowingly accepted an identity that does not serve them. They tell themselves stories of limitation, stories of failure, stories of being incapable. They say, "This is just who I am," not realizing that who they are is simply a reflection of who they have decided to be. They hold on to old labels given by others, labels that were never theirs to begin with. The moment they let go of these limiting identities, everything changes. Every action a person takes is a vote for the identity they are reinforcing. When they choose to wake up early, they cast a vote for being disciplined. When they choose to stand tall and speak clearly, they cast a vote for being confident. When they take responsibility instead of making excuses, they cast a vote for being strong. These small actions compound over time, shaping a new reality. The more a person aligns their behavior with the identity they wish to embody, the more natural it becomes. The mistake most people make is trying to act differently while still identifying as their old self. They attempt to be productive while still believing they are lazy. They attempt to be courageous while still seeing themselves as fearful. They attempt to succeed while still holding on to a mindset of failure. This contradiction creates inner resistance. The mind will always find a way to return to the identity it believes to be true. Until that identity is changed, external efforts will always be temporary. This is why those who truly transform their lives do not just change what they do. They change who they are. They do not see their goals as something separate from themselves. They embody them. They become the kind of person who naturally achieves what they desire. If they want to be strong, they see themselves as strong before they ever lift a weight. If they want to be successful, they carry themselves with the mindset of success before any results have manifested. The mind does not differentiate between reality and deeply held belief. When a person fully believes in a new identity, their actions will shift to match it. The hesitation disappears. The struggle fades. They no longer need to force themselves into new behaviors, because those behaviors become automatic. They no longer sabotage their progress, because the person they have become no longer aligns with the version of themselves that was holding them back. Everything in life is dictated by identity. A person will always act in accordance with who they believe they are. Those who wish to change their lives must start by changing the way they see themselves. They must release the false narratives, rewrite their internal story, and step fully into the identity that aligns with the life they desire. When this shift happens, actions follow effortlessly, and the external world begins to reflect the internal transformation. Everything in existence operates on a frequency, a vibration that resonates and extends beyond the physical form. The energy one carries dictates the energy they attract. It is not merely about thoughts or emotions, but the deeper essence a person embodies. The way one moves, speaks, and exists in the world sets the tone for what flows into their life. Energy does not lie. It is an unspoken language, a force that connects like to like, shaping reality in ways often unnoticed. A person filled with doubt and hesitation will find themselves surrounded by situations that reinforce those feelings. They will encounter obstacles that mirror their uncertainty, people who question their worth, and experiences that validate their fears. This is not coincidence. It is the natural consequence of the energy they emit. On the other hand, someone who moves with confidence, who walks with certainty, will find doors opening, opportunities arising, and people gravitating toward them. Not because the world is inherently easier for them, but because they are attuned to a frequency that aligns with success, trust, and growth. The unseen forces that shape reality are constantly at play. The way a person feels within themselves determines what they notice, what they focus on, and what they ultimately attract. A mind trained to see failure will find it everywhere, even in moments of success. A mind tuned to possibility will discover openings where others see dead ends. The external world is not fixed. It bends and shifts according to the energy one projects. Many people attempt to force change by manipulating external circumstances, never realizing that the true shift must come from within. They chase outcomes without addressing the energy they carry, wondering why the same patterns repeat. They change jobs, relationships, or environments only to find themselves in familiar struggles. Until the internal energy shifts, the external world remains the same. True transformation begins at the level of energy, not circumstance. Every thought, emotion, and action sends out a signal, an unseen force that attracts similar energy back. Fear invites situations that justify fear. Gratitude draws in reasons to be grateful. Anger calls forth conflict, while peace welcomes clarity. This is not a matter of mere belief, but a reflection of how the world responds to the energy projected. The strongest force in a person's life is the energy they consistently embody. Some wonder why certain people seem to attract success with ease while others struggle despite effort. The answer lies in the energy they carry. It is not about luck, nor is it always about skill. It is about alignment. Those who embody abundance in their thoughts, feelings, and actions naturally draw abundance toward them. Those who dwell in scarcity, even if they desire more, unknowingly repel the very things they seek. The key is not to force situations, but to become the type of person who naturally aligns with what is desired. If one seeks love, they must cultivate love within themselves. If one seeks success, they must carry themselves as though success is already within them. The energy one emits must match the energy of what they wish to attract. This is why desperation pushes things away while certainty pulls them closer. The universe responds not to words or wishes, but to energy. Energy does not deceive. A person cannot mask doubt with empty affirmations or hide fear behind false confidence. The frequency they hold will always reveal itself in their actions, in the way they move through the world. This is why true change must happen at the deepest level. A person must not only think differently, but feel differently, exist differently. When this shift occurs, attraction becomes effortless. The right people, opportunities, and experiences begin to flow naturally. Many resist this truth because it requires taking full responsibility for their energy. It is easier to blame external forces than to acknowledge that one's reality is a reflection of their internal state. But the moment this responsibility is accepted, a new level of power is unlocked. No longer at the mercy of circumstances, one becomes the architect of their own experience. The world does not grant according to want, but according to alignment. Those who understand this no longer beg for change, they become the change. They do not seek validation, they embody certainty. They do not chase, they attract. By shifting their energy, they shift their entire reality. The unseen forces of existence are always responding, always aligning, always reflecting back the energy projected. When this truth is fully understood, life transforms from struggle to flow, from resistance to effortless creation. Doubt is the silent force that erodes potential before it has the chance to manifest. It does not announce itself loudly, but creeps in through hesitation, through second-guessing, through the quiet whispers that say, "What if you fail?" It is not failure itself that destroys possibility, but the fear of it. The moment doubt is entertained, it begins to chip away at confidence, paralyzing action before it can even begin. Those who achieve do so not because they never encounter uncertainty, but because they refuse to let it dictate their actions. The mind, when left unchecked, will create obstacles where none exist. It will magnify risks, distort reality, and fabricate reasons why something cannot be done. Doubt feeds on inaction, growing stronger with every hesitation, while confidence is built through movement. The more a person delays, the more difficult the first step becomes. The mind, once conditioned to expect failure, begins to seek it out, interpreting every challenge as proof that success is impossible. Those who surrender to doubt never even attempt to see what they are capable of, choosing instead to remain trapped in their own uncertainty. Belief is the foundation upon which all things are built. Before any great achievement, before any breakthrough, there was first the conviction that it could be done. Every structure, every innovation, every transformation began as a thought untainted by doubt. The moment doubt takes hold, possibility shrinks. It is not reality that limits people, but the belief that they are limited. Those who question their ability to succeed rarely take the necessary risks. They hesitate when they should move forward, they analyze when they should act, and in doing so they remain stuck in place. Doubt is deceptive. It presents itself as rationality, as caution, as a necessary voice of reason. It convinces people that they are being wise by waiting, by preparing more, by holding back until the right time. But there is no right time, no perfect moment, no future where everything aligns without risk. The only difference between those who achieve and those who do not is the willingness to move forward despite the uncertainty. Every path carries unknowns, but those who let doubt stop them never even set foot on the journey. The weight of unfulfilled potential is heavier than any failure. Many look back on their lives not regretting the things they tried and failed at, but the things they never attempted, the opportunities they let slip away, the moments they were too afraid to seize. Doubt is what creates this regret, convincing people that it is safer to do nothing than to risk failure. But in avoiding failure, they also avoid success. The person who does nothing may never fail, but they will also never grow, never learn, never experience the depth of what is possible. Doubt thrives in uncertainty, but uncertainty is a part of life. The unknown is not an enemy, but a space where possibilities exist. Those who embrace it open themselves up to limitless potential, while those who fear it remain confined within their own doubts. There is no certainty in success, but there is absolute certainty in failure if no action is taken. The only guarantee in life is that nothing will happen if doubt is allowed to take control. Those who move with conviction create momentum. Even when they do not know the exact path forward, they trust that the way will reveal itself through action. They do not wait for clarity, they create it. Every small step forward weakens doubt's grip, proving that progress is possible. The greatest enemy of doubt is experience. The moment a person sees for themselves that they are capable, doubt loses its power. But that moment never comes for those who remain frozen in hesitation. Failure is temporary, but doubt makes it permanent. Those who trust themselves learn from mistakes, adapt, and continue forward. Those who doubt themselves interpret failure as a confirmation that they were never meant to succeed. The difference is not intelligence, nor is it skill, it is simply belief. The belief that one setback does not define the journey, that every challenge is a lesson, and that success belongs to those who persist. There will always be moments of uncertainty, times when the mind tries to retreat into the safety of doubt. But safety is an illusion. There is no true security in avoiding risk, only the slow decay of potential. Doubt does not protect, it imprisons. It builds walls where there should be open roads, turning dreams into distant fantasies instead of realities in progress. The moment a person decides to move forward despite their doubts, they take back control. They reclaim their power. They step into the realm of possibility where those who dare to believe find that they were always capable, as long as they refuse to let doubt decide their fate. The mind is constantly pulled in different directions, wandering between past regrets and future anxieties, rarely resting in the present. Yet true power lies in presence, the ability to fully engage with the moment as it is, without distraction or resistance. Presence is not merely about physical existence, but about complete awareness, a deep connection with what is happening right now. When one is truly present, there is clarity, a stillness that allows for deliberate action instead of reaction. The chaos of unnecessary worries dissolves, and what remains is the only thing that has ever truly existed, the now. Most people spend their lives lost in thought, replaying old conversations, worrying about things that have not yet happened, or wishing for a different reality. This constant mental noise prevents them from experiencing life as it unfolds. They may be in one place physically, but their mind is elsewhere, disconnected from the moment. This is why so many feel unfulfilled, because they are never truly here. They are always reaching for something just out of grasp, convinced that happiness, success, or peace exists somewhere in the future rather than in the now. When one becomes fully present, the weight of unnecessary burdens lifts. There is no longer an obsession with what has been or what might be, only a deep engagement with what is. Problems that once seemed overwhelming shrink in the face of direct experience. The mind, no longer clouded by distractions, gains the ability to focus entirely on the task at hand. Productivity increases not because one is doing more, but because they are fully invested in what they are doing. A single action done with presence is far more powerful than 100 done with distraction. Presence is the gateway to true understanding. It allows one to truly see, to listen without waiting to respond, to feel without judgment. Relationships transform when presence is brought into them. Instead of shallow conversations filled with half attention, there is deep connection. Instead of reacting impulsively to emotions, there is space to observe, to understand, and to respond with wisdom. Most conflicts arise not because of differences, but because people are not fully present with each other. They hear words but do not listen, see expressions but do not notice. When presence is cultivated, communication becomes clearer and connection becomes effortless. Fear loses its grip when one is fully present. Most fear is not rooted in the moment, but in the mind's projections of what could go wrong. It thrives on imagined scenarios, possibilities that may never come to pass. But in the present moment there is nothing to fear. There is only what is, and what is can always be handled. When one stays present, they realize that they are capable, that they can respond to whatever comes with clarity and strength. Anxiety is merely the mind's refusal to be here, always seeking control over what it cannot predict. Presence eliminates this struggle by bringing awareness to what is real. Creativity flourishes in presence. The greatest ideas, the most profound insights do not come when one is lost in thought, but when they are fully immersed in the experience. When the mind is silent, inspiration flows naturally. The artist, the writer, the thinker, those who create something meaningful do not do so by forcing ideas, but by surrendering to the moment, allowing creativity to arise from a place of stillness. The more present one is, the more access they have to their deepest intelligence, a wisdom that goes beyond thinking and into direct knowing. Most people chase peace as if it is something to be attained in the future, never realizing that it is available in this very moment. Peace is not the absence of problems, but the absence of resistance to the present. It is found in the simple act of being here, fully, without wishing for things to be different. No amount of external success can provide lasting fulfillment if one is not present to experience it. The richest life is not measured by what one has accomplished, but by how deeply they have lived each moment. To master presence is to master life itself. Everything changes when one stops being a prisoner of the past and a servant of the future. Strength, wisdom, creativity, and peace are not things to be gained. They are already within, waiting to be accessed through presence. The present moment is the only place where life truly exists. To be fully here now is to step into the greatest power one can ever know. The mind is a master of shaping reality. It does not merely observe the world, but interprets it, colors it, bends it to fit the beliefs it holds. What is seen is not just what exists, but what is expected to exist. The thoughts repeated, the narratives accepted, the fears entertained. All of these shape the way life unfolds. When illusion is believed deeply enough, it ceases to be an illusion, it becomes reality. The world is not simply what it is, but what one believes it to be. Perception is never neutral. It filters every experience, filling in gaps where information is missing, shaping interactions, and determining what is possible. Two people can walk the same path and live entirely different realities, not because of the external world, but because of the lens through which they view it. One sees opportunity where another sees danger. One finds beauty where another sees nothing of significance. The same event that inspires one person can crush another. The difference is not in the event, but in the mind that perceives it. The mind does not distinguish between reality and belief. What is held as truth is treated as truth, regardless of whether it is based in fact. If one believes they are incapable, every challenge will serve as proof of that belief. If one sees themselves as strong, obstacles become stepping stones rather than barriers. The body follows the mind's direction, confidence rising or falling in accordance with belief. A person who walks into a room convinced they are unworthy will carry themselves as such, and the world will respond accordingly. Illusions are not merely deceptions. They are the blueprints from which reality is built. A thought entertained long enough carves pathways in the mind, solidifying into perception and then into action. The person who believes in their own limitations will unconsciously act in ways that reinforce them. The person who believes they are destined for greatness will find a way to make it so. Life bends to fit the structure of one's expectations. The illusion, when held firmly enough, manifests into the tangible. The greatest trap is not external limitation, but internal conviction of limitation. A bird born in a cage does not try to fly, not because it lacks wings, but because it has never believed flight was possible. The same is true for those who live within self-imposed boundaries. If they believe the world is against them, they will find evidence to support it. If they see themselves as powerless, they will never act with power. The illusion of impossibility becomes a prison more impenetrable than any physical barrier. Yet just as illusion can confine, it can also liberate. If one chooses to believe in possibility, in strength, in the inevitability of success, the world shifts to accommodate that vision. Those who achieve great things do not do so because they were given permission by reality, but because they refused to accept any other outcome. They saw an illusion of success before it existed, and by acting upon it, they turned it into reality. The world did not confirm their belief first. They confirmed their belief, and the world followed. The nature of reality is fluid, shaped by thought, expectation, and belief. Those who understand this do not wait for circumstances to change. They change their perception, and circumstances adjust in response. They do not see failure as the end, but as part of the process, not because they are blind to struggle, but because they choose to see through it. The illusion they create is one of possibility, and because they hold on to it with unwavering certainty, it materializes. Illusion is not the enemy of truth, but its architect. What is believed today becomes what is experienced tomorrow. The mind, when directed with clarity, is the most powerful force in shaping existence. It builds the walls of limitation or the bridges to freedom, depending on what it chooses to see. Those who control their perception control their reality. And those who master this understanding realize that the only limits are the ones they refuse to challenge. The need for external validation is a chain that binds the mind, dictating actions, shaping thoughts, and determining worth based on the opinions of others. It creates an illusion that approval is necessary for existence to be meaningful, that one's value must be measured against the expectations of the world. This dependence turns life into a performance, where every step is carefully calculated to please, every word spoken with the hope of acceptance. The mind becomes restless, seeking confirmation that it is enough, yet never truly satisfied, because external approval is fleeting, unpredictable, and never within full control. The more one seeks validation, the more power is given away. When self-worth is determined by others, control over happiness is lost. A single word of praise brings temporary satisfaction, while a single criticism shatters confidence. This instability leads to constant anxiety, a fragile existence where fulfillment is always just out of reach, dependent on forces beyond one's command. The mind becomes conditioned to chase approval, believing that acceptance is the key to peace, yet peace never comes. Because external validation is not a foundation, it is a moving target. True freedom begins when the need for external approval is discarded. To detach from validation is to reclaim power, to understand that worth is not something to be given by others, but something that exists independently, unshaken by praise or criticism. When this is realized, actions are no longer dictated by fear of rejection or hunger for recognition. The choices made are no longer filtered through the question of what others will think, but instead through what feels true, what aligns with one's deepest convictions. The pursuit of validation weakens the spirit, forcing it to conform to the expectations of others. When existence becomes centered around pleasing people, authenticity is lost. Instead of living according to an internal compass, life becomes a reflection of what is believed to be acceptable. Ideas are silenced for fear of judgment. Ambitions are abandoned to avoid disapproval, and a false identity is constructed, built not on truth, but on the desire to be liked. But no matter how well one plays the role, there will always be those who disapprove, those who criticize, those who find fault. If validation is the source of self-worth, then life becomes an endless struggle to maintain an illusion that can never be fully controlled. Detachment from external validation does not mean rejecting connection or ignoring feedback. It means no longer being controlled by it, no longer allowing it to dictate identity. It is the understanding that approval does not define worth, that criticism does not diminish value. It is the ability to listen without absorbing, to stand firm in one's truth even when the world disagrees. It is the refusal to compromise authenticity in exchange for temporary acceptance. The greatest strength lies in self-assurance, in the ability to move through life without seeking permission to exist. Those who stand firm in their truth, who do not bend to fit the expectations of others, radiate a presence that cannot be ignored. They are not concerned with whether the world approves of them, and in that freedom they become truly powerful. They walk their path without hesitation, knowing that validation is irrelevant, because they have already given themselves permission to be. To detach from external validation is to experience life without chains. It is to act without hesitation, to speak without fear, to live without the weight of seeking approval. It is to find peace not in the acceptance of others, but in the certainty of one's own being. In that state there is no need for validation, because there is no doubt, no insecurity, only the unshakable knowledge that worth has never been something to be earned. It has always been there, waiting to be realized. Detaching from external validation is the key to true freedom. When worth is no longer dependent on the shifting opinions of others, life becomes an authentic expression rather than a performance. Seeking approval leads only to insecurity, but self-assurance brings an unshakable peace. The moment one stops chasing validation, they reclaim their power, standing firm in their truth without fear or hesitation. In this space of inner certainty, external opinions lose their grip, and a deeper sense of fulfillment emerges, not from being accepted, but from fully embracing one's own existence.